Hello everybody, Jay here with Climb Time Photography, and we're going to be doing the Raptor Bedliner review. So finally I'm able to do this video. I really wanted to wait 7 months of the Bedliner being on the Ford to do this. I wanted to make sure that I was able to put the paint through some different tests, sand, mud, snow, branches coming up against the side of the truck, which they have all happened. I've been actually thoroughly impressed with how well this Bedliner's been sticking with the paint on the truck, and it's been pretty durable. It's been pretty strong, and I'm going to go through all of that shortly with you guys. Also, please stay tuned. I have a little side clip, or should I just say hint of something coming up that I also got in the works I think you're really going to enjoy. But let's do a quick little recap. So, the paint on the Ford has been on there for 16 years. I need to have it repainted. It's chipping, it's fading, it's falling off. All bad. Now I thought about having the Ford professionally painted, but to me that really didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense because I do overlanding, I off-road, my truck gets a little beat up, so there's really no point in me putting a fresh coat of paint on it just to have it scratched up again. So I did a little bit of research and found that everybody seems to be using this product called Raptor Bedliner. So I went ahead and went with that option. I put 3 coats of that stuff on my truck, and so far, like I said, I've been thoroughly impressed of how it's been adhering and how it's been holding up. I also want to take the opportunity to look at some other people's videos and kind of see if they've been having any problems with the product in any certain areas and stuff like that. And that's all stuff that we're going to talk about in this video as well. So with that being said, let's dive into it. Alright, first area we're going to talk about is the front. So, as you saw earlier from the photos and the videos, the front of the truck looks really good. No signs of chips, cracks, anything like that. And we all can agree that the front of your vehicle is what gets hit the most. If you have rocks coming off of dump trucks, off cement trucks, anything that's on the road is more than likely going to hit the front of your vehicle first. Now I do have a little bit of extra protection because I got this nice bumper, and so the only area that I really have to worry about is up high. If something was down low, you might have to worry about it a little bit more, and it probably would get hammered a little bit more. But as far as with the hood and then the grill and everything else goes, there's no signs of chipping or anything like that. So that's where this product has been really outstanding. Alright, so this is going to be the next area we're going to talk about. Specifically the side right here, all this, all that, the side, your fenders, they get a lot of abuse from branches and stuff like that. Typically when the truck is going through something, this all gets hit for usually the first and the worst. So initially the bumper only came out to right here. We have a little bit of chipping going on right here on the bottom, but besides that, there's really no other signs that the liner is coming off. I did do this later on after just kind of wanting to protect the sides a little bit more, at least from some of the bigger stuff that might be coming across. But so far, it's adhering very nicely. Alright, next area we're going to talk about is the fenders. So as you can see earlier, we had that cracking going along in between the fender and the trim right around here. So that I feel like I could have avoided if I would have simply just painted the fender and the trim separately. Unfortunately, what I did was I painted over it, and that was obviously a mistake on my part. What also ended up happening as well was I had a company that had to put shock hoops into my truck so I can run full-size Fox shocks, so they ended up having to take out the inner fender right here. In order to take out the inner fender wells, they also had to take the trim off. So because they took the trim off, that's why you also see that large gap in between that area. Now, one thing I also noticed is typically right now I'm also running a Nito Terra Grappler all-terrain tire. Currently the gap on the tread is about 1/4 inch. So here's my theory, is if you have a mud terrain tire that's got a larger gap, it's going to throw up larger rocks because the tires are meant to dig more. They're meant to grab traction. The lugs and the spacing typically are going to be a little bit bigger. So in theory, this is my theory, it's going to hit the side of your truck more, especially if you have spacers on your vehicle. I have spacers on the side on my truck, so I constantly see mud and everything all along the side of my truck, which tells me that there's probably rocks that's coming along with that mud as well. Same thing when I'm on the highway and I'm picking up rocks and I can hear them hitting on the side of my vehicle. It's probably because my wheels are further out than my fenders. So something to keep in mind if you decide to put all-terrain tires or mud terrain tires on your vehicle, is the chances of them picking up bigger rocks is going to be greater if you go with a more aggressive tire, because that's what they're designed to do, is they're designed to grab stuff. But having said that, the truck's completely looking great. There's no signs of chips or cracks or anything like that on any side of the truck. It's all adhering very, very well. Despite, getting hammered with rocks and whatever else the tires might pick up, it still looks really, really good. The other thing that you could also check out is the inside of the fender, like right here in where the trim is. It still looks really nice as well. I mean, there aren't any signs of the Raptor liner being chipped away from the rocks or anything like that. Now, I'm going to put mud terrain tires on my vehicle. That's the plan later on down the road. I feel like that is really going to be the test of how well this stuff will adhere to the truck. Okay, so this was the other area I noticed that we were having some problems. Right here, same thing as up front, we're starting to get that chipping going along in between the trim and the fender. Now, I'm guessing that's probably because this is also plastic and that's also metal, and they probably warp separately, especially during the summertime and stuff like that. That probably affects it. So that's probably also why I'm thinking I'm getting the cracking going on longer. But again, I feel like I could have avoided this if I would have separated the fender from the trim, paint them separately, then when I was finished, put them back together. So keep that in mind if you're doing trim and stuff like that. Or just leave the trim off, depends on whether or not you're going to have holes. Another thing that you might run across though is if you paint the trim, is you might have a problem putting it back together, because you might have to sand off some of the paint in order to get this to adhere to the fenders. Okay, so you guys saw earlier from that little clip, this area was the only area so far that I've had any significant type of cracking on the shell. So from right here you can kind of see a little bit of a gray. I'm not sure if that's fiberglass or if that's like maybe the layer of paint that's over the top of the shell. I'm gonna guess it's probably the fiberglass, but that tells me also that it was not necessarily a problem with the Raptor liner adhering to the paint, but the paint adhering to the fiberglass. So that, and also it's a possibility of the what it got hit with. It got hit with, I saw it, fortunately I couldn't avoid it. It's part of off-roading and got hit with a branch that was probably about that big, and then basically hit the side of the shell. Fortunately, the shell is fiberglass. It's a snug top. I did paint it, but it's not going to be as strong as obviously metal. So maybe later on down the road I'll end up getting like a metal bed cover or something like that. Had a problem right here where that dent was. You can still see it here, here, and a little bit right here, right? So that was a problem I also figured out. Was I was thinking that the liner would just go over this and fill it in, and I wouldn't be able to see it anymore. Apparently that's not the case. This is a note for anybody who else that does this. Make sure you fill over any type of dents, any really thick scratches, because this stuff might not necessarily cover it up. Alright, and for the last section, the roof. Unfortunately, honestly, for my roof on my truck, I can't really give you an accurate torture test simply because my roof is mostly protected by the 2 racks I have on top of my truck. The only thing that element, I guess, that I could say that probably hammers it would probably be the sun, and so far the sun hasn't really affected it at all. I mean, there's no signs of cracks or anything like that. It's not chipping. I checked all of the water runoffs and stuff like that. They're fine, no problems at all. I will say, if you're adding any accessories onto your vehicle, drilling things, grinding things, anything that's got metal flying places, do not do that anywhere near this bed liner, because it's not like the paint on your car. For some reason, anything that gets in any metal that gets contacted will like seep into the bed liner, and you will not get it off, and you will know it's there, especially if you have a lighter color when it starts to rust. Yeah, not good. And unfortunately, I also had to learn that the hard way, so please keep that in mind. Alright, and there it is, everyone. The 7-month Raptor Bedliner review, as promised. I told you I would give you a hint of the next thing I'm working on, and here it is. I'm going to be doing a Raptor Bedliner torture test. And quite honestly, this is something, and we're actually really excited for this. This is something I wish I would have done before I painted my truck. But hey, at least you guys get to benefit from it. We're going to put Raptor Bedliner to the test. We're not only going to try the spray-on method, like what was done to the Ford, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to plan on spraying, doing a test of the spray, the roll-on, and the brush. And we're going to test all 3. And I'm hoping to do this hopefully within the next, we're looking probably around 2 months here. I need to wait for the weather to start heating up a little bit, because the one thing with this bed liner is it can take a little bit of time to dry, so I need the weather to kind of heat up a little before I can start getting stuff ready for this test. But stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know what you guys think, and hopefully this helped you some. You guys have a great day.